In part 2, from cracks to crackdown, we move to the final directions passed against the exchange and its leadership. What responsibilities did the exchange fail to uphold? Who was ultimately held accountable? And what penalties followed?
Hello everyone, welcome back to Info Rush. I am Rudrakshi,
I am Disha.
and in previous episodes, we unpacked how the NSE steering architecture worked and examined the issues around fair access to the market data. So, briefly, I'll recap the findings. TCP IP did not provide fair and equitable access, and also NSE did not have policies regarding secondary servers and did not reprimand defaulting trading members.
Right.
Coming to the liabilities of NSE under SEBI regulations of 2003 and SEBI regulations of 2012, the order makes an important distinction. Just because the way information was distributed violated the Stock Exchange and Clearing Corporations, the SECC regulations, it does not automatically mean fraud occurred.
Hmm.
For something to qualify as fraud under SEBI's prohibition of fraudulent and unfair trade practices (PFUTP) regulation, there must be clear evidence of manipulation, collusion, or intentional wrongdoing. In this case, the investigation did not find concrete proof that any specific NSA employer colluded with a particular broker, or there was a deliberate scheme to defraud the market. Because of that lack of direct evidence, the order states that it cannot conclusively label the conduct as fraud.
Okay.
However, it does not mean the exchange was free of responsibility.
Yes,
The
yes.
findings clearly state that NEC failed to comply with the SECC regulations both in letter and in spirit. These lapses in system design and oversight created conditions that allowed certain participants to gain an unfair advantage. And this is significant because the stock exchange is not just another market participant, it acts as the first level regulator of the market. Investors and traders participated in the market with the expectations that the rules are uniform, transparent, and applied equally to all the participants. When that expectation is compromised, even without proven fraud, confidence in the integrity of the market can be seriously affected.
Yes.
Now, coming to the liability of employees for the PFUTP and SECC regulations, the order also examined the role of Ravi Narayan and Chitra Ramakrishnan, who served as managing directors and CEOs of the exchange during the whole relevant period.
Hmm.
In their reply, they stated that they were not familiar with technology and an institutional head that they had gone with the aid and advice of the functional heads, and the decisions were collective of the decisions of the NSE board. They were involved in the day-to-day operations of the colo system.
They were not involved.
Sorry, they were not
Not
involved in
involved in
the.
the, yeah.
So I mean, it's so.
This is again absurd.
I mean,
Really
you're
absurd.
heading a technology company at the core, and you have the
Exactly.
audacity to come and tell that you don't know about the technology is just so
Yes.
bizarre.
Exactly.
So the SEBI said the leadership of a stock exchange cannot avoid accountability for technology
Exactly.
systems by claiming a lack of technical expertise. Even if they were not directly involved in designing the system, they were still responsible for ensuring the exchange complied with regulatory principles. So, I mean, this is a lesson for all the leaders across the world that even a
Hmm.
small thing may turn into something bigger.
Yeah.
So, you need to know how things work across.
Exactly. And especially if you're not from a certain background, you have to be
Correct, yeah.
more vigilant, you have to be more careful.
And with the advent of technology at the speed that there is today, you have to be
Yes.
even more careful about these things.
Exactly.
Because Ravi Narayan and Chitra Ramakrishna were leading the exchange during the period, the order held them responsible for the violations of the SECC regulation. The order was examined the role of Mahesh Soparkar and Devi Prasad Singh, who led the project support management, the PSM team, as you mentioned before.
Yes.
They argued that monitoring the secondary server was not fully their responsibility
Hmm.
and that their involvement was temporary. However, the findings concluded that as heads of the PSM team, they were responsible for monitoring unauthorized connections to the secondary server
Hmm.
and escalating issues to the co-location team.
Right.
The order states that they fail to properly monitor and enforce uniform discipline among trading members, which contributed to unfair access. The order did not pass any directions against Anand Subramanyam, Ravi Apte, and Umesh Jain, noting their limited or indirect involvement in the co-location architecture during the relevant period. Additionally, allegations were also dropped against several other notices, as the investigation found no sufficient material to support the allegation against them. So, to conclude, the order directed the discharge of a portion of the profits earned from the tick by tick data distribution during the relevant period to be transferred to the Investor Protection and Education Fund created by SEBI. A total of around rupees 625 crores was found to be the profit earned by NSE from co-location operations from 2010 to 11 and then again from 2013 to 14. It also barred the exchange from accessing the securities market for 6 months.
So, you might have a question that how can an exchange be barred from accessing the securities market. So recently, you guys might have come across the news that NSE had come out with an
Correct. Yeah,
IPO.
yeah.
So it is accessing the securities market, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is what it was barred from, that it cannot come up with an IPO and access the securities
So the
market.
operations of the NSE can go along as
Yes.
well, like how it is working, but it can't be listed on the markets and others can't trade
Yeah,
on it. Yeah.
exactly.
NSE was also directed to strengthen governance through regular systems with audits, periodic review of its technology committee, and a very clear whistleblower policy. Former NSE CEOs Ravi Narayan and Chitra Ramakrishna were ordered to pay 25% of their respective salaries from the relevant financial years to the same fund and were barred from associating with listed companies, market infrastructure, institutions, or other market intermediaries for 5 years. Additionally, NSE was directed to initiate an internal inquiry against Mahesh Soparkar and Devi Prasad Singh and submit a report to SEBI within 6 months. And with that, the order brought one chapter of the NSE co-location saga to a close. Penalties were imposed, responsibilities were fixed, as the exchange was directed to strengthen its governance and technology oversight.
But wait a minute. The story of NSE didn't end there. A few names we encountered in this case would soon appear again in another case, which was baffling, not because of how huge it was in monetary terms, but because of the characters involved and the very nature of the case. In a separate investigation, regulators found that confidential decisions
Hmm.
at the National Stock Exchange were allegedly being shared with an
I know where this is
unidentified
going.
figure. The revelations raised serious questions
Hmm.
about governance, decision making, and internal controls at one of India's most important financial institutions. And that's what makes this story
Hmm.
so important. Because markets ultimately run on trust. Trust that the rules are fair, that systems are transparent, and that institutions are governed responsibly. Stay tuned to know more. This is InfoRush. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and log out smarter.
And the fun thing has just begun, so please
Yes.
stay tuned.